As Celestial Guardians wrap up, it's now time for us to just kind of sit back and think about how did this all just plan out? Which cards actually delivered on their promises, which ones crashed and just burned, and most importantly, what do we actually learn from this set as a whole as we start looking at future metas and kind of how we deck build and do all those things. What up, y'all? It's your boy Ben here, and we're just gonna be taking a bigger look at Celestial Guardians as a whole, as a set in review, so to speak, and just kind of talk about and focus on just the specific cards from this pack before, we get some new ones coming up literally tomorrow. So that's going to be really exciting. And so let's go ahead and just break down the biggest winners and losers and all those other fun things. And so before we get into that, you already know the deal. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell button. That would be great. But what I would really love is to know, what is your favorite card from this set? We're going to be talking through just kind of things that had a huge impact, but it would be great to see what your favorite card is down below. So go ahead and comment down so I can see it. So let's go ahead and talk about probably the undisputed champion, the #1 winner of them all, and that is Rare Candy. I mean, I think let's be real, it's not even close. Rare Candy didn't even change the game, it became the game. Every conversation when you're thinking about what cards you're putting in, you're always making a lot of room for 2 rare candies. Oftentimes you're seeing people cut their stage 1s as a whole, and because they're playing rare candies instead. And so I think this, but this card right here made stage 2 Pokemon viable again, and had everybody really think about what do they want their turn 1 strategies into their turn 2 strategies look like. It solved this idea of what this fundamental stage 2 problem instantly. It created new archetypes and became format defining immediately, and we knew that as soon as it was introduced, right? So I think that was the really cool part to see it do that, especially coming from a meta that was before this where it was just basic EX dominant, right? We only saw Arceuses, we only saw Darkrai, it was just those cards, and you needed to play those cards. And now that we have Rare Candy, the meta just kind of exploded in diversity in terms of what is actually viable. So that was really cool. And speaking of Rare Candy, here's another winner here. I think Fire got a big, I think Fire and Grass really got big bumps here, and we're going to be talking about that later. But Incineroar EX is a great mod to capitalize on that Rare Candy and really giving a firepower to fire type decks. We can see it's 1 energy, so your Rare Candy, you're able to attack for 1 energy right away, and you're really dealing 50 damage because that 30 plus being burned is 20, and if they don't flip the coin, they're losing 20 per turn after that. And so this just essentially is just a way of fast starting or getting up an energy and attacking very quickly right away. And as we all saw later on, it started to be able to counter those Oricorio decks because of the status conditions, still allowing it to be very viable into those kind of wall type of decks, and making this very, very great. And it had a great breakpoint of 140, which is a lot of what those basic EXs are at anyway. So I really liked this card and how it turned out for sure. And I think another one that went under the radar and then definitely came out big, especially towards the end of the meta, is the Decidueye EX. This Pierce the Pain, this Razor Leaf, being able to attack anywhere, giving you room for not to need Cyrus or to need Sabrina, to really just kind of be your sweeper towards the end, clearing out anything that they just try to run away from, is really huge. It just provided that consistency that you just needed to attack on the board to gain the points that you needed. to not allow your opponent to try to hide in the back, and then that gave you just room to be able to play other supporters like Guzma or other tools, like you could run Leaf Capes and Poison Barbed, and just kind of giving you a way to like play this card and play different archetypes, including this card, but also leaving yourself up with room to include those like supporter cards in there. We saw this get paired up a lot with Miascarada towards the end, and in scale, like it literally is just kind of like this like flow chart where it's just kind of like not really, and then it exploded for good reason, because it was able to keep up with a lot of the meta decks that were out there because of its ability to be able to attack for just 2 energy with a rare candy, setting up this Pierce the Pain or Razor Leaf that way. And I'm gonna give a nod to a Toucannon here, because I started playing with this like towards the end of the, like there's always these cards that are like big, flashy, you want to play with it, you know the name of the Pokemon, or like this is like, oh, this is here, this is there, look at the status effect, or all these other things. But I do want to shout out Toucannon as like a winner here as well too, because it's a colorless mon, it's 140 HP for stage 2, so a cape puts you to 160, and you're attacking for 70 damage. Like oftentimes turn 1, turn 2, rare candy, Toucannon, you're winning the game on the spot. Like it's just that simple, and like that, like, you know, that's just really good. I think the versatility of being able to throw it into any other deck because it's a colorless attacker. I've seen this get paired up with Incineroar. I've seen this get paired up into the electric decks with Oricorio. I've seen this get paired up into Rampardos. It's just one of those things where it's just like you just get a lot of power very early, and for one price point. If you weren't playing a lot of Toucannon, you should and should think about like whether you can slot this into some of these newer decks, because, and obviously with newer cards, we're going to play with the newer cards, but this is a very reliable 70 damage, 1 energy, focus on your other mons and build those up in the back, and like allowing you to be able to think about that was really cool. And we can't talk about winners without including Oricorio into the realm of this as well. This card, we saw the ability, it outperformed exactly where you were at. Oricorio is now not like a must include in all electric decks that you're running, but it definitely just allows it to be better when you're able to attack with this card. And that makes it really well. We've seen decks where it's just all electric, and so that's very easy. We've seen dual color decks with lightning and water with Greninja. But all in all, this ability, Safeguard, preventing that damage from your opponent's Pokemon EX, is very good. It's just very, very good. It was like this card came out as broken, and then it's like, never mind, it's not, because you can counter it with like Greninja and Tapu Lele and like all these other cards with Rocky Helmet. But then you're just kind of like, whoa, what if we healed it? What if we gave it cape? What if we actually did that? And so it just forces people to actually deck build and not be too greedy, because if you're too greedy and you run into this, it's an instant concede, right? And so having this definitely shaped how people thought about how they wanted to deck build, and that thought of like how to deck build did not go away, right? Like the Oricorio didn't go away, so therefore how you thought about how your deck building doesn't go away. I've seen comments that just been like, well, what about Oricorio? What about Oricorio? And it's just like, that is a question that you have to ask. And so I think this definitely was a winner. This card played out to the way that it was, but it definitely wasn't overbearing or overpowering once people started to get used to it. And so that's just the question moving forward that you're gonna have to think about: is this bird going to pop up in my opponent's deck? Throwing, we talked about, you know, I said throwing, but like we talked about like fire being like a card that like got support in here, not only through Incineroar EX, and like, you know, you get to throw that in with Charizard, or you get to throw that in with Infernape, but Turtonator, this fire dragon, but fire type in the game, crushed life here. And I was very surprised, because I was like, a 3 energy, 4 3 energy, or discard to get a fire energy, and then 4 energy to retreat. I thought that was a lot, and it just kind of became a basic wall to build up your stage 2s, no problem, into kind of like, well, here's my Turtonator and here's my Kawaii on turn 1, and therefore you're out. Like, I win. That's 90 damage on turn 2. You only have a basic out. What are you gonna do after that? So like it was like really cool to see, just kind of like once people started playing around with cards, just kind of like, you know, oh, we're only running Charizards, or we're only running Incineroars. Well, what if we just have our Turtonator and our Incineroar? Our Turtonator and our Charizard, our Turtonator and our Infernape. And now this being a cool fire wall is like pretty sweet, and like I'm very interested to see if that can stay the same as we like move on to other Pokemon. And like, and I wouldn't blame that it would. I really do like the outpacing here, and it definitely answers the question of like, what if Misty was like guaranteed hit or not? Like, what would that look like? Well, we have that right here with this card as well. And speaking of other cards that are just like came up the top, which is really cool, is Tapu Lele. This is a staple, and I'm gonna, you know, I might like Tapu Lele / Oricorio, the psychic box kind of piece, because Oricorio deals for 1 energy, 80 attack for a Pokemon that gets knocked out, and which is like such a more efficient, more shadow, like let's just be real. And Tapu Lele allows you to deal 20 damage to any Pokemon that has energy attached to it, but you're doing 20 per energy. For one energy, you're immediately scaling. Like, I can attack for 1 energy for 20, for 40, for 60, for 80. Being able to Cyrus them right back up to the front, y'all. Come on. Like, it's just absolutely insane, the amount of damage output that you can do, and it only has a 1 retreat cost, so you can always bring it right back up front and attack again, or you can hold it in your hand and then snipe later on. And I think that's just like really nice here overall. Tapu Lele definitely shines as one of the top cards from this newest set. And so I think just a couple other ones that like I just wanted to get through, because there's just so many good ones, is that like we have like Lily here, again, healing. We got into the era of stage 2 Pokemon with the rare candies, with the hyper focus of the stage 2s, with the 1 or 2 energy attacks. And so Lily, to be able to build that sustain was amazing, and then it brought life into a lot of other stage 2 Pokemon. Grass getting their Leaf Cape, that plus 30 HP, made more Pokemon even just harder to get through, and just adding that additional health and being able to put this onto the baby Mons, so that way those 50 HP Mons or 60 HP Mons aren't getting knocked out right away, was like really nice, especially when the beginning meta was dealing with Skarmory, because Solgaleo is just a cool card to look at. And then same for Poison Barb, setting up some cool combos, getting the damage in, setting yourself up for Decidueye, setting yourself up for any of the poison type decks as well too, which is really great. And then in comes Guzma, as I think probably solidifying as one of the top supporters that we got in this set, because this discarding all Pokemon tool cards just affects every Pokemon, not just the active spot, but all of them. You get a lot of value if you're knocking out 1, but you get a lot of value if you're knocking out 2 or 3. Removing a cape and then knocking a Pokemon out has been really strong to see, or even getting them down to that 20, and then hitting a Guzma and then being able to attack the next Pokemon. This just allows you to continue your game plan how you planned it out. No taking extra damage from the Poison Barb or the Rocky Helmet, getting rid of those keeps as well, and I just like this overall tone here for that. So let me know before we get into the loser sides of things. We're talking about a lot of the positives, and I kind of get into that. So we might not see a lot of the losers in this case, the way that we talked about this, but like, let me know what was a winner in your eyes. Do you agree with the list that we have here? What would you include? What would you take out? Let me know down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts in that. And so let's just talk about the bigger disappointments. One was this Lana card. I think this piece here, I really wanted this to be good. Like, you can only use this card if you have Arachnoid play, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. Being able to control which Pokemon came in just felt really, really cool to see. But Arachnoid, however, it's just not viable. It's just not viable. The 60 for 3 energy, like, you know what? Let's just like let's pull this up here for y'all. Let's pull this up here for y'all. Arachnid, if your opponent active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, this attack does 60 more damage. So in a realm where we're seeing a lot of stage 2 Pokemon, like Arachnid and Lana in the last set would have been great. Would have been great because we saw basics everywhere. But we're not seeing that, right? Like Meowscarada is still getting played because we're seeing a lot of EX Pokemon where we're not seeing a lot of basic EX Pokemon, which is why the basic comes out. And by the time that the basics are evolved or are gone, this is not really doing much. So you got to get the 3 energy on here in order to attack. You're not consistently hitting for 120, and therefore, and also in order to use Lana, it has to be Arachnoid, so it can't even be Dupe Hider, the basic form of that. So what could have been really, really cool here, really cool combos here, it's just too niche for too niche on a Pokemon card that's not the best, which is like truly unfortunate, because I really like this effect, and obviously, you know, a lot more control that you can have. I just wish Arachnid was better. Another card that like could have been really good was Alolan Raichu EX. I think being a stage 1 3 energy psychic felt really good in theory. You're getting to this move faster. You're dealing with psychic. We were thinking like it's colorless as well. There was definitely discussions in the beginning where it's like it's a much faster Alakazam. This is like outpacing that but it's worth 2 points, yada yada. But it is not fast enough to compete with the basics, and then it's not powerful enough to justify the evolution into it when stage 2s are getting their rare candy accelerations, right? So by the time, like, let's run down the list. By the time that Alolan Raichu EX is going up against a Charizard EX, Charizard EX clears it in 1 hit. Now you can hit it on the backswing because that's 150, that's 210, and Charizard doesn't have that much health. But if Alolan Raichu is up there, Charizard EX clears that. Incineroar EX clears this as well. It's only 3 energy, so like this is only doing 90, 150. Incineroar EX actually lives that hit. You have your Garchomp, which is dealing 70 for 1 energy to it. You have Gallade, which like powers this off. Like, right, like there's just so many mons that like can clear this thing. So like whether it needed more health or something, but stage 1's could use a little help in the way that stage 2 got some help, because we saw that basic Pokemon definitely got help just by the way that they printed their cards. They wanted basic EXs to do well, basic legendary EXs I should say, and so stage 2 EXs definitely got some love. So we'll see what they decide to do with their stage 1s. Another card that I like had very good potential here, and you know, maybe I'm wrong and y'all let me know, but like Vikavolt, 2 energy, they can't play any item cards from their hands, so that means no rare candies, but it's a stage 2. A stage 1 for 2 energy and its effect, pretty nice. A stage 2 in its effect means that you have to get your rare candy, or you have to get this mon in your stage 1 and then your stage 2 and then you attack. So it's like, if it's a stage 1, make this a 1 energy and then go from there, but then maybe that's too busted. Or make this a stage 2, make it a stage, like make a stage 2 with 1 energy attack, or stage 1 with 2 energy. Just finding a ways where you just don't need so many cards to pull this off. And maybe they wanted to make it harder to pull off because they wanted rare candy to do well, but this one card, right, like Vikavolt wouldn't be the full meta. You can take it out. It's I don't know. I just feel like this effect just didn't get a lot of burn, and maybe that was the point, but like this could have been really good against a lot of dominating cards out there. And so we're you know, hoping that Dina could have made this look better. Another unfortunate card here is Domice EX. It's just 140 HP, grass type, 3 energy, 80. They can't retreat, but they can still attack. They can still attack you. You're not really doing much into it. You kind of have to lead into it, but it was just like one of those things where it could have been cool, but there's just better cards that have higher HP for grass decks that you just could be using and have less attacks. Even if you just bring it back to genetic apex, you could be dealing 1 energy 80 with Executor EX. Decidueye EX for 2 energy deals 80. And like, yes, that's a stage 2 and that's a stage 1. This is a basic here, but it's just not doing enough. And like that 3 energy here is just too, it's too much. It's too much energy. I'm gonna just say it right there, it's just too much energy in order for this to truly be effective. And speaking of too much energy, not Alolan Raichu, but Alolan Marowak, 3 energy, 3 fire energy, and you have to flip 1 head in order to be able to do an attack. It's not great. I don't think I've seen this card get play at all, and it's just so sad because the art for this card is so wonderful. But if you hit 1, you get to burn them. That's kind of cool. So essentially, you're dealing 90 or 160 damage, but like in order to get to this, you have to use Kawaii, and then that means you're it's a stage 1, so you got to find it, Kawaii to help boost it, but you end your turn and then you can go, and then it can be 0. So this related to RNG. You might not get it. You could be in a game winning position and like you just hit 0, and then that's that. You only flip 2 coins. You don't do nothing else, and that's it. So yeah, I don't know what you could have done with this card. Sometimes cards are just not meant to be good, and like this definitely felt like this was one of them. And like you just don't see this card get play, and like that's for a reason. So yeah, y'all, those are like my winners and losers of the set and review. And then so if we're thinking about like things to take away from this meta, is like the first one is like the energy efficiency. It is literally like if your Pokemon needs 3 energy to be able to do its thing, it needs to be able to win the game. Otherwise, you're just giving your opponent free turns to set up and attack you or do their thing. So I'm thinking of things like, like what needs 3 energy? Well, Giratina EX does, right? And what do we do? Or 4 energy, but like you're ramping up, you're dealing 130. That's a lot of damage. Arceus EX, where we see that. You're getting 3 energy. That's up to 130. That's a lot of damage. We look at Charizard EX. That needs 5 energy. But like again, where are you? That's still a lot of energy, but you're doing the thing. So when you have cards like Tapu Lele or Incineroar EX, where like all you need is just kind of like that one two cannon, where all you need is that 1 energy. The not this Oricorio, but the other Oricorio, our purple Oricorio, it's just that's all you really need. And that is like really nice. So like that is where you want it. Cards that attack efficiently are doing well, whereas like energy hungry Pokemon are not doing well. It's just about being able to have that resource management in terms of where your energy is going, and what you're then doing against your opponent is really strong here. So less energy or ways to attack for 1 into your opponent while you're building up stuff in the back is really good. Here is why you see things like Tapu Lele, Greninja, Giratina, or Snorlax being a thing that was a thing with the berry, because you get to attack for 2 energy. So that's pretty good. I think the other thing that we got to talk about, like this is not just Alolan Raichu, but like stage 1s just kind of need some help. They just kind of need some help. If we like take a look at here, if we like, how do I do this? Advanced sort by. We'll play around. But like our stage 1s just need a little bit more love, less energy to be able to attack, or like have an impact on them, right? Because otherwise, if they're the final stage here, like they need to hit harder or have more of an effect. But Arantis being able to do 20 to each of your opponent's Pokemon for 1 energy feels pretty good, right? Like that is definitely a good setup for your Decidueye EX here. But this legendary doesn't really do much, so some people often skip it, and like for good reason. Alolan Marowak is not doing well. Arcanine is not doing well. Salazzle, I've seen some kind of love here, but you're poisoning and burning foes, so like maybe that could do some good work here. Wishy-washy, if the opponent is not prepared, could do well. Carbamol EX 80 is just not enough, or if you're Sabrina or Cyrus something else, you're starting back at 40. So again, it's just like make it just that, like we'll just see what what can come of these stage ones as we get more cards, because they're just going up against an uphill battle against these basic legendaries and these rare candy stage 2s, and they need to be really strong in order to be able to compete with them. And then last but not least, I will say is that these supporters, man, they nailed them, or a lot of good of them, right? Like Kawaii, awesome. Guzma, awesome. Lily, awesome. Acerola, too niche, you know, like them. I don't see Mimikyu making big strides here, which is unfortunate. Sophocles, Lana, and Mallow. Serena definitely has her shine, so like I like this here, and we're gonna see Shiinotic, but again, right, we're gonna see a Shiinotic in this newest set for extra dimensional, so that could be really cool here as well too. But yeah, y'all, this is kind of like, what do we see for future sets? We'll see energy efficiency. We see stage 1s will need help. We're gonna see tool cards and supporter cards continue to grow, and then in a 20 card deck, it's gonna be hard to manage what makes the most sense to put into what. But I love the fact that we got a diverse meta. Love the fact that like piling skill mattered. I love the evolutions that brought back from the old Pokemon, revitalizing these stage 2s into the game. And so having room for flexibility, being able to compete to where everything else was, being able to like add in the cards that are key here really meant for that. So the cards that succeeded weren't necessarily the strongest, they were the smartest, and that's a lesson that will carry forward into the future formats. So yeah, y'all, this was a great video to come up with and to talk through. Let me know how y'all liked it down below. If you'd like to see more of these for every set, happy to do that as well too. I think this is just like a really great thing to like think about before, you know, like kind of like just to end everything else off. But yeah, y'all know the deal. If y'all liked it and you want to see more of this, go ahead, hit that like button, definitely subscribe, click that notification bell button, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.